Hi, I'm Don, and this is the Hobbyist Geek. Welcome back, everybody. I am excited today because we're going to be bringing you something new, though I gotta admit, I might have bit off a little more than I can chew here. I was browsing one of my favorite online retailers, Big Bad Toy Store, and something popped up in the search that I thought looked really cool. Moo Models, MU Models. Now I thought, based on the description, that this is going to be similar to Middle Earth, and I thought it'd be really cool to pick up a couple and showcase them on the channel here. And then the box arrived, and I got this. This is huge. Just to give you an idea, this is a standard, as far as I can tell anyway, standard Moo model. That's a Middle Earth model. Okay, look at the difference in the packaging. Difference in weight is also significant. This thing is heavy as crap compared to this. So I am terrified about what we're gonna find inside this, but the end result, hopefully, will be worth it. But what say we crack this thing open and see what's inside? Alrighty, y'all, here we go. Here is the packaging. And as you can see, this is what the final product is supposed to look like. And that is incredibly detailed. That actually just looks really awesome there. Model number, logos, brands. Obviously some Japanese here. I think it's Japanese anyway. I can't read that. Not a whole lot on the sides. Here's the back. Again, description, all Japanese. So not a lot of English here. Numbers are easy enough to understand. Measurements obviously in millimeters. But in the end, I mean, this really does look cool. So let's get the cellophane off and see what it comes with. All right, so we can open up the package in that way. It just slides right out. And okay, it looks like we just opened it up from one of the ends here. And okay. And we've got this on the inside. And oh my God, this is a freaking book. Look at this. That is a lot of instructions. A lot of instructions. This is going to be massive. This is going to be big. Okay, we get brochure for other stuff to buy, it looks like. Obviously I can't read any of that. Some of that stuff looks kind of cool though. I'll give it that. Oh, here we go. Blessed Rabbit Lantern. Jewelry from the God of Wealth. Okay, definitely very Japanese kind of thing here. Some of it looks really cool though. And here we go. The actual metal sheets. Look at that. There's some heft to this. There's definitely some weight here. And these are really big metal sheets, but I love the gold here. Yeah, the metallic blue and red. Really awesome. Okay, and okay, so some finger condoms. I never use these. They're good for protection against little cuts with the metal, as well as preventing fingerprints from getting onto the models. I actually prefer gloves more than these little finger condom things, but I actually can't use either. When I lose that tactile sense in my fingertips, it gets much more difficult for me to build these models. Each individual is different. If you can use a glove, I actually do recommend that you use one, because the final product doesn't have those finger oils, the fingerprints, that kind of thing, and it will protect your fingers. So inside the larger plastic envelope, you've got all of these sheets. And we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 metal sheets here in some different colors. Just look at that red. That is incredible. You got your silver, your blue, you got some nice deep blacks here. The paint on this is amazing. Even the yellow really kind of stands out. And each of these is individually sleeved as well to add to the level of protection. Whether or not you just want to yank everything out all at once, or maintain them as you cut each individually, is up to you. Taking a closer look, you can see we've got the same kind of cutouts that we do on like the Metal Earth, and they've got tabs on here as well. Man, there's a lot of reflection here. I don't know if you can actually see any of this. But there are tabs on each of these that very reminiscent of Metal Earth. Over here we've got a little slot, if you can see it. So I have a feeling this is going to assemble much like the Metal Earth models do. Just a much larger scale here. So with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and we'll open up the instructions and start with the first stage. And we'll go through it just like we do with all of the other ones, and let's see what we get here. All right, one quick note before we get started. They have this thing here where they call bending surface and non-textured surface. I'm assuming, front and back. The color difference here is actually so minimal that when you're looking at the instructions themselves, sometimes it's difficult to tell. This is a decent example where you've got the two colors right next to each other. And what's worse is it looks like this piece is colored as a bending surface, or I guess the textured surface, but it looks like it's underneath here, and it's going to be one of the parts that's not shown. So it's very confusing as far as that is concerned. Also, it does show that they have two different attachment methods. Now, these are the same attachment methods that Metal Earth uses. The difference is the individual stages and steps don't actually tell you which connection method to use on any given stage. So it's really up to you to guess and hope you get it right. So just, FYI, if you're going through this, I really hope I don't screw this up, but let's get right into it.
See
Sorry guys, my camera died for the last half of that build, and I didn't realize it until it was too late, but now I've got it assembled. That was a pain in the butt, so I'm going to be taking it apart to show you how I did it. Not to mention I don't want to bust any of the aluminum here. But here we go, backpack complete, looking awesome. And here is the backpack attached to the chest. Beautiful sight this is. Next up, attaches to the rest of the torso. We'll have this entire center mass complete.
not enough. Really hard by the ocean, among all those white hot sands, where every sunrise is just for you. So come along and take my hand.
And here he is in all his completed glory, and what an absolutely amazing figure this thing turned out to be. Now, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to this guy. It says he's G1 Optimus. This is not G1 Optimus. This is an artist interpretation, clearly inspired by G1 Optimus. And I absolutely love it. I think the modifications they did actually make this so much better, actually. But that said, there are a few issues I have. These little dots right here, in fact, every time you see a color shift, that's a different piece of metal. There is no painted on detail anywhere. So it ended up being a lot more complicated than I believe it probably should have been. There are other issues like this little panel right here. And there's one on the other side, one on the front of the arm over here. These could have been laser etched. There was no point in making those separate pieces. I love detail. I absolutely love detail. But when your detail becomes complicated and adds complication without actually adding value, I think you're going a little overboard. So, for that reason, I think some of the items on this did go a little overboard. That said, this has got to be the most detailed piece I have ever done. And it is absolutely incredible. I love the paint that they used and the way it reflects the light. Excuse me. I love all of the little added details like the pistons. Obviously the laser etch detail that is present. All of these little fan blades individually, they were a pain in the butt, but I think totally worth it. From a difficulty standpoint, definitely don't start your metal model journey with this guy. Very difficult, very complicated. That said, I've done some premium series Metal Earth stuff that was actually more difficult to build than this guy was. For the most part, this guy actually came out fairly easily, for the most part, compared to some of the more difficult premium series stuff. One other item of note, there are a lot of very, very small pieces, like these right here, and there are no spares at all on those metal sheets. Now, some of them you actually have to cut out in order to access larger pieces that surround it, like the holes here in the chest contained pieces inside it when it was in the metal sheet. So I'm lucky enough that I have a workstation large enough to lay out all of the metal sheets individually and leave them untouched for the duration of the build. Not everybody's going to have that, so make sure you have a way of keeping track of the stuff that you cut out. Speaking of length of the build, it took 31 hours of straight build time on this guy. That does not count searching for and cutting out the pieces from the sprue. It's straight build time only, 31 hours. That is excessive. That is a very, very complicated and long build. If I do any more Moo models, I'll probably have to break them up into multiple videos, because trying to get this done in the time frame, in a release time frame, I just don't think I'd be able to keep up that kind of pace and work a full-time job. Other than that, I love this guy. I mean, well, okay. I'm not particularly happy with the eyes being yellow. They should be blue. I understand why they did it, but it's still not exactly as accurate as one could hope for. I don't know. I really don't have much in the way of any major complaints with this guy. If you do decide to build him, please make sure that you read the instructions ahead of time and make your own judgment on order of operations. Certain items like these parts here on the hip that fold over, the instructions have you do it really early in the build, but you really don't want to do it until towards the end when you actually attach the legs and this little cap here. Because of that, right over here, one of the little pieces of metal snapped off because my tweezers hit it when I was trying to bend a tab inside the waist there. I had to super glue it back on. If I had left them unbent, I could have folded it over later and not suffered a breakage. So I would highly recommend that you just read the instructions ahead of time, because that's not the only place where that was, and make your own judgment call on order of operations. But let's go ahead and do a size comparison. So here he is next to MP10 Masterpiece Optimus Prime. This Optimus is actually more accurate to the G1 aesthetic, but not gonna lie, I really like the Moo Models much better. But as you can see, I mean, he's a little bit shorter, just a little bit. But for the most part, he's actually Masterpiece scale in his size. And here he is next to the Metal Earth version of Optimus Prime. And, well, there's really no comparison. And here he is next to the standard size War Machine and the Metal Earth Premium Series Stormtrooper. And as you can see, he simply towers over all of them. I recommend this model. As long as you've acquired the skills necessary to build it. If you have not, please start with something more on a beginner scale and work your way up to it. But once you get there, totally worth it. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Have a great day.